The projection of the astral body, Preface, page 11. When my first out-of-the-body experiences occurred, I was but 12, so young and immature in mind that I did not realize their magnitude. The occurrences came about involuntarily and repeated themselves frequently, until I became so accustomed to them that, as a matter of fact, I soon regarded them as nothing extraordinary, and seldom mentioned them to even members of my own family, to say nothing of keeping a record of them, although I had been urged to do so by many interested persons. I had been told by persons professing to know that conscious projection of the astral body was nothing unusual, and that many psychics could produce and do it at will. I, too, wanted to be able to produce it at will, and I admit that I was envious of those that I had heard could do so. So I began a search for someone who could produce the phenomenon voluntarily. But my search proved fruitless, and eventually I concluded that I could not find that someone. Thus I began to experiment with the phenomenon myself, and in this book you will find the results of my experiments. Although we are living in the 20th century, we still have with us this intolerance of the Middle Ages, and I am not optimistic enough to believe that a great many will read without prejudice what I have to say. I have written this work with the idea of giving the results of my findings to other students of the occult. Unfortunately, many occultists are of the belief that what is claimed to be conscious astral projection is nothing more nor less than a dream. I am well aware of the fact that one must first experience conscious astral projection before he can believe in it, and I confess that I should not accept it as true myself, perhaps, had I not experienced it and know it to be true. The skeptic says, I want the proof, the objective proof, then I will believe. And the projector replies, you cannot have objective proof, you must experience it, then you will have proof. The argument that the projector cannot prove to the skeptic that it is not a dream is of no avail, for neither can the skeptic prove to the projector that is a dream. Thus argument is useless as arguing the matter of first cause or last effect. I stand on a clear-cut issue. I say experience it. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. I have not tried to conceal anything, nor resorted to pseudo-arguments about the dangers involved, which are common characteristics of most writers on the subject. I have given the specific methods for bringing about the projection of the astral body as I know them, and I am willing to have the truth of my statements judged squarely by the results obtained through the practice of these methods. You want proof, and I say you can have it, but you must experience it. You want to know how you can experience it, and I tell you how to go about it. I can do no more. In this volume I have related many of my experiences. However, the experiences I have given do not in any way represent all which I have had. A book this size could scarcely hold the accounts of all of them, could never have gleaned the information which is contained herein by the few experiences which I have quoted. The average human being is not interested in the experience of others, he is interested in his own experiences, and I have presupposed in writing this book that the reader wishes to know just how the phenomenon is produced, and not merely to read experiences, although, as I have stated, I am not optimistic enough to believe that many will read what I have to say without prejudice. I am optimistic enough to believe that no one can give the methods which I have outlined a conscientious and thorough trial and not obtain results. Do not try to judge the book by reason alone. Judge it by experiment. I want no one to accept my word for what I have written. I say experience it. Follow the formulae and judge the merits of my own statements afterwards. That is the time to judge. Afterwards, not in advance. I have been accused of being superstitious because of my belief in phantoms of the living and phantoms of the dead. Usually I find that my accusers are themselves superstitious on the other subjects. Recently, a churchgoer told me that he did not understand how I, or any other person, could believe that he had a ghost inside him. Yet this same critic professed to believe the Bible from cover to cover, even that Christ gave up the ghost at death. On the other hand, the materialist believes that it is superstition if anyone believes that the mind can exist apart from the brain. His theory is that the brain oozes thoughts just as the liver oozes bile. And the materialist, who cannot prove that the brain oozes thoughts, forgets that he cannot prove his argument and demands proof of the spiritist. If you press the materialist for proof, he will tell you by experiment, remember, it becomes evident that the brain produces thought, and that is and that is about the very thing the spiritist will tell you. By experiment, it is evident that the brain does not produce thought. Both materialist and spiritist must throw away reason and resort to experiment. And that is all I ask the reader to do, to convince himself of the merits of what I have written. Throw away reason and try experiment. It is my hope that all who are successful, even those who produce minor results, by following the methods contained herein, will make those results known to me, for I wish to collect the evidence. I take this opportunity to express my thanks to Mr. Carrington for his valuable cooperation and assistance, and to my fiancée, Miss Goodrich, for her help in typing the manuscript. Signed, Sylvan Muldoon.